For everybody that doesn't know me, my name is Beth Guide. I am with a company called Vertical Web. We've been doing this now with HCC and Score for probably 5-6 years. It's getting long enough that I now forget how long I've been here. Okay. So we'll start with that. So tonight, what I want to do is I want to talk through AI. We have donated or dedicated a lot of time to AI in 2025. And the reason I've put the time in on that is because it continues to evolve. It's one of those things that can either hurt you or help you or both. I think that becomes the point of the matter. And it was interesting today because I had somebody come to me with a website and ask me to take a look at it. And, as with most websites that I take a look at, I always liken it to a piano that's out of tune. They're always just a half peg not right, that whoever touches them, they know just enough to do the minimum, but not enough to pull the ball across the finish line. And it's a very common theme that I see in all of this. So with that said, I started to look at it, and what I realized is all the main pages of that website were written with AI. And you can't take a website and put 100% AI on it, because if you do, what you end up doing is you're just regurgitating what somebody else is saying. So if I want to be an expert, if I want to be in the top spot, if I want to be a source that forget about the internet for a second, but if I want to be the source that my customers go to, then I have to demonstrate better, more comprehensive knowledge than my competitors. So if all you're doing is taking AI and scraping AI and building a website, you're not doing that. And I think that's the thing that is the crux of all of this. Because at the end of the day, your job in your business is to procure customers. It's not to take the shortest path of least resistance, to put something up, to get something there, to get the minimum of something, because you might as well do nothing. And I think that's sort of how I see that. So as I have to say in every single class, it seems like your platform matters. Okay. And all these years I've been saying, I teach how to be number one on Google. Well, I'm not teaching how to be number one on Google anymore. I'm teaching on how to get to where we need to be so we get new customers. And I think that's a little bit of a change from what, we've done and said previously. But the reason I'm changing that is because AI has become changed in how people are getting information. So if you guys were in front of me, and I actually just wonder how I can do this. I bet you I can do this with the chat. If you guys can tell me, I, I have to say most people are no longer getting their information from Google. A lot of people will say, let me go to ChatGPT and let me ask it, because it actually gives you the answer rather than you having to search. So from a lazy standpoint, it makes you feel better because it just provides you with the answer and you don't actually have to do the research. Our question should be, how do I get there? How do I get into that spot, and how do I get into that space, and what do I have to do that? And there is a whole series of behaviors that are behind that. And they're all predicated basically on what I've been telling you to do for years. So none of this should be new information, except that the technical, and I say technical very loosely, but the technical aspects of this are the predominant items that are needed to be able to bring this across the finish line. So I think that's what I want to talk through tonight. I think that's what I want to explain with you tonight. I want you guys to understand the tools and understand what you need to know to be able to get there. I see go by me every day, AI build a website, AI write a website, AI do your marketing plan, AI do this, that, and 10 other things. And realistically, you can do almost all of that without hurting yourself. So let's kind of start with the first things that maybe we can do. So we're not being like, well, you can't do this. It's on fire. We're afraid of it. Um, there's a question in the scroll. That's the other thing. As you guys have questions, I've always done this sort of in real time. I don't like to just speak and then you guys can ask questions at the end. And the reason why is because this is sort of interactive. And by the time I get to the end, we'll forget what we said in the middle. So the first question says, is this available for playback? The answer is yes. We will get a copy of it and it goes on the Vertical Web website. So it'll be there for you to be able to have it and be able to replay it if you want. The other thing that I do with it is I've made it into a podcast. So you can get it on any of the podcast servers, Apple, YouTube, you name it, it's out there. So we put it multiple places so that people can find it. I always get scared that people may be driving around Houston listening to me because either you get lost in your thoughts and have an accident, I get worried that y'all are listening to me as you're walking around and driving around Houston. I mean, it's bad enough out there. We don't need me adding to it. But with that said, um, where I want to start is some of the things that we can do. Okay. I'm gonna say some of this I can say pretty confidently I'm okay with us doing it. Um, and so let me open a web browser here and then I'll share my screen. Let me just bring this up here. I need ChatGPT. So I think the first thing I want to tell you guys is that there is multiple platforms that we can use for this. And I think I want to make sure that we sort of understand what the difference is between those platforms. Um, let's see, that's this one here. Okay, so you should all be able to see my screen. It says ChatGPT. So there's a few chat platforms out there that have emerged to be more relevant than others. So I think the first one, is ChatGPT. Everybody is familiar with that. It now has an app. You can put it on your phone. It plugs into browsers. It's everywhere. So we've got the ChatGPT situation going on. The next one we have, and I'm gonna kind of open this as we go. Next one is Claude. And I like Claude a lot. I will say to you, just like its name, it's a little, I think it gives friendlier answers, if you will, um, to some questions. And I think it writes friendlier content. The other thing that it will do is it also can like lay out things for you. It'll build code for you. It can do a whole bunch of different things that ChatGPT can do, but it's not as seamless, I think is probably the right word to use for that. So we have that. Um, Another one is perplexity, and I am not going to talk about perplexity because I don't really know that I think that it's an answer engine per se. Um, but I would prefer to stay in the Chat GPT. I may have probably spelt it wrong. Um, but I want to stay in the Chat GPT, Claude, and Gemini world, which is good. Gemini belongs to Google. All right, so we have three solid options here. The other thing I want to say is that Google now has added a deep research function to it that's a little bit more robust than the other two. So depending on what you're trying to do, depends on which engine you're trying to use. Now, what I will tell you is I blend all three of them. And I'm going to throw one little more piece on this. And this is going to be a little bit, this is not a chat function. What this is kind of, it basically builds the agent to it. And I'm not logged into it, am I? Yeah, there's another. So I have to log in. This is the Vertex Google part of it. It's the back end of it. So depending on what I want to do is where I want to go and how I want to do this. Now you notice on the side on ChatGPT we have an explore button, and that explore button lets you use basically the equivalent of what you would do as a plugin. Okay. Um, that's a really good. I just did list them, but that's a really good question. Are they free? They are free, but I have a paid for subscription on each and every one of them. Okay. So I'm going to kind of go down each one of this first, and then we can kind of go from there. So the first one I'm talking about is basically Chat GPT. So let's understand the Chat GPT piece of this. Okay. Actually, all chat. So just like we're having a conversation back and forth, that's the way this does. So if you've ever watched a lawyer TV show, they lead the witness to go where they want to go. Okay. Um, And no, it's $20, Craig. It's very cost effective because it's $20 a month, and it functions as a writer, it functions as a graphics artist, it functions as an ad director. Let's kind of let's it's they're very inexpensive, each and every one of them. So um, we're okay on cost. And I've never put out expensive stuff, so we're good. Anyway, every one of these has a free element and component to it. The free element and component is really based on um, how slow or how fast you want it. I think it's more robust under the paid for version, and it lets you do more. So it's not as limited as it's been as it is with the free version. And that's just common sense. People can't just let you use things for free and run a company for free, because then you're out of business. So it is logical that, and it's well worth, to me, ChatGPT is worth every $20 penny that I pay it, as is Claude, because they actually do the job of employees to me. I don't have to give somebody a paper and ask them to proofread it for me anymore. I can take it, paste it into this, it proofreads it, and it gives it back to me. Um, I don't need to necessarily pay somebody to do ad work. There's like a whole bunch of things. So on the let me try again and say that again. On the ChatGPT side, if we understand what it's doing, what it does is I'm asking it a question, I give it an answer, and then I'm going to come back to it and I'm going to ask a follow-up question, just like a lawyer would when he's interviewing a witness, just like a reporter would when they're conducting an interview. You Thank you for your time, Congressman. Now you said this is this, and what do you feel about this? So you're that same thought process, linear thought process of where you would start and where you finish is how you go. So this is, how do you know which app to use? Well, I'm hoping by the time I'm done talking, you'll have an idea of what app to use. I mean, that's kind of why I'm kind of enumerating this out the way I am. What I find is I start most things in ChatGPT, and if I need to refine them or check them, then I go elsewhere and then I come back. Okay. So if I want to start a new chat, like today I was working on cardiologist person. You can see I have lists and lists and lists down here of the side of what we were trying to do. Um, what I will say is the things that you can do. You can have it write a YouTube summary. So if you're doing some YouTube videos, you can have it write a YouTube summary for you if you want. And it does that very well. Okay. Um, the next thing and what I do usually is I take the transcript of the audio file and I paste it into ChatGPT and I ask it to write me a video, the YouTube summary. So if you come back over here, I come back, you'll see what I did here. I did this for a podcast I was working on. Write a YouTube summary for this transcript that will help improve traffic to the channel. Use hashtags that are relevant. And it came up with basically a little bit of a thing. I pasted the transcript in, and it dumped out the entire it dumped out the entire outline of what we needed to do. Um, some of the things that I do is I'll do the summaries now for the Internet Marketing Clinic. I used to do them all by hand, and it would take me forever to do it. Now I just take the transcript, paste it in here, and say write a transcript. And the funny thing is because it's taking me talking and it knows my writing style. It writes it almost on point with how I would write it. So I like it very much. I'm very happy with it. One of the things that I learned to do with it is I use this AI humanizer, and what it does is it removes all the fluffy AI speak. So anybody that knows me knows I'm from New Jersey. I don't have anything fluffy about me. All right. I'm your typical New Yorker running around here. And when I when I when I put this together, it doesn't go in and make it sound flowery. It doesn't add, euphemisms that I wouldn't typically use. It doesn't take that out. It walks away and puts in something I would say. Now, what it's doing is it's taking it from what I say, so it makes it a little bit easier. What I'm going to suggest to you guys is that if you can't write it well, then speak it in a video and use the transcript to write your page. There's a few reasons I say that. I've kind of been giving that out as a free tip because I think when you do that, I think what ends up happening is you end up talking about what makes you unique. How are you able to go through a sales process? It allows you the platform to demonstrate what you want to demonstrate. And then once you do that, it ends up fixing um, the it writes it in for you so you don't have to do that. My head jumped to the next thing I was doing. Oh, you're from New York too, so you understand. See, I grew up in New Jersey, it just is a thing. So, anyway, so that's part of my energy here on all of this is that. So I use it to do that. I am fine with it. Very rarely do I go back into it. Very rarely do I go through it. Very rarely I remove the emojis and the little hearts and the smiley faces and all the little stupidness that it puts in it because I'm not a hearts and flowers and stupidly kind of person. So for me to put them in something that I do, I look dumb. Okay. And it doesn't set the right expectation for the customer. At least that's my opinion. You're just going to get, hard hitting. You're going to get the facts. You're going to get what you get. What I will tell you is that, and this kind of comes back to this internet marketing clinic when it started, when we did it, we were doing this during COVID. And at the time we started this, um, we I was doing it at home and I had a little dog. He's passed away now, but I had a little dog and he would just bark from the minute we turned the microphone on to the minute I stopped doing it. He literally would bark for 2 hours straight in the background. So I ended up getting a sound deadening software that's called Crisp and it's spelt with a K. And the reason I'm mentioning Crisp is because because I have this on my computer now, every time I open Crisp, it makes a transcript of anything that I use to do. So I immediately have a transcript. I do not have to, thank you. I appreciate that. I miss him every day. But I don't have to wait for YouTube to process. It used to be that I have to upload it, wait for YouTube to process the transcript for me to get the transcript to do. But since Chris did this upgrade and it does it on the spot transcription of everything, I have an immediate transcript. The other thing that I have, and I don't know if you can see Windows, but you notice I have this Otter note-taking app. That is another thing I use. So between the two, I know I have a good clean copy to be able to use immediately because if you know about the YouTube algorithm, one of the most important things that you can do is you turn it on and you want it ready to go. You don't want to have to come back to it. So, by the way, sorry, we just went to dark mode. So that's what that was. Anyway, and just so you know, that's what happened on that. So everything I do, as I record something, it gives me an immediate transcript. If I could get the video tonight, I literally could have this video up, edited, and on the website in probably under 30 minutes because of how easy this is now to say, here's the transcript, make a video. I use iMovie. I have my intros already done. I just have to drop it in. I'm not an kind of talker, so I don't have to worry about editing it because I very rarely make a faux pas that I have to do. I've been doing this now on the internet so long, it's like second nature to me now to talk. So I don't do a lot of uhs and pauses and breaks. So with that said, because that's happening, I end up having a pretty well quick drop in video that I can take, write the write up for, and put it out and do that. Now, previously in previous classes, I've told you guys not to use AI to write your blog posts. And I'm going to stick with that, except I'm going to put a little bit of a caveat on this. Okay. So I'm talking to you and we're having a conversation or a monologue at the moment, but we're having a conversation right now. When I take that, if I said, take this transcript and write it into a blog post for me and gave it the parameters, what's going to end up happening is it's going to create it and it's going to be unique because this information doesn't exist anywhere but other in my head. I may be saying something somebody else is saying, but I'm saying it in a way that belongs to me.
With Office is not enabled.
I'm giving you
skill to control this device.
I'm giving you background information. I'm giving you my viewpoint on stuff. So this doesn't exist anywhere. So I have no problem taking this and utilizing it as a way to write a blog post. Now, what I will say is if you're going to use it in other ways, let's say you just wanted to take a topic and write a blog post about it, and you said, okay, I'm going to write it with AI. If you do that and you don't change it and don't make it your own or ask follow-up questions in your prompt, then what ends up happening is you're only regurgitating something that somebody else is saying, and then that page won't rank. And I don't want to utilize the website I was looking at today to say who it was or put them on the spot because I don't have any affiliation with them. But the problem with this is that I took the page, it was 98% AI. And what I will tell you is there's a problem that's called zero GPT, or a program rather, that's called zero GPT. And I'm going to put that in here. And it can take a page and it can tell whether it is AI generated or how unique it is. So if I go and I take, let's see if I can do this way. I'm going to pull the summary off the last video that I actually put up. Internet's slow tonight. Everything has been slow because of the wind today. We'll say it's making a lot of problems. All right, so I'm just going to use this one here for my demonstration. Now, what I did is I left certain attributes in this page, right? So there's certain things that I told it to do. The other thing I always tell it to do is remove the conclusion word. Sometimes it says in conclusion, summary. I always take that out because you don't say, unless you're giving a speech, and even then I wouldn't say it. In conclusion, okay, you don't normally say that in a normal written article. So therefore, it's a flag for Google that you used AI to do it. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to throw it in here. And we're going to see what it says. Because I think it's going to struggle. It may show a high rate just because it knows that that's on my website already. So it may see, it says only 30% of it is AI because it's AI because A found it somewhere else, but the other parts of it is, if you look, big chunks of it are me, because it's my thoughts, I promise you I wrote the whole thing with AI. Okay, but it doesn't find it anywhere else on the internet. It's all new thought because it came out of my own head. All right. And if you look what it's doing, it's saying general dentistry with subcategories for cleaning. It's saying that's repetitive somewhere. Cosmetic dentistry with those are repetitive. So it's saying 30% is repetitive, but if you look at what it is, a lot of it is not as repetitive as you think. I think it found some of it on my own website. So by using a page that's already up, um it is gonna find some of it, but it's saying this page is only 30%, which means I did a really good job of sanitizing it. And how I did it with sanitizing it is basically I just used the audio off the videotape, and because it was the audio, it's unique to me and there's no replication. So if we understand what I'm saying, that it keeps it on the down low. It says, is it possible to confuse our original thoughts with AI? Well, that sounds a little Arnold Schwarzenegger-ish. So wait, can you ask that in a different way? Because I'm not sure what I understand to confuse our original thoughts with AI. I'm not sure that I understand what the intonation of that is. Um, but it took I gotta get this playing thing off air. I took it, I put it up. I have 30%. It's doing well. What I can do then is I can come back to it and I can check it. Uh, and make sure that this page is ranking and getting traffic. And I can do that with Google Analytics. I can do that with some stat programs I have. I also have my SERPworks that's built into my browser that we've talked about in the past. And if I put that into SERPworks and I look at it, it'll tell me, kind of what that page does. The other thing I can do, and I actually would highly recommend this, I do this on a regular basis, honestly. And as I do this now, I don't know what it's going to turn up. So let me say that right about this. Hold on a minute. It says, I wrote a speech before with my own thoughts, yet somebody checked it with AI and it said it was over 50%. And Alan asked AI. Yes, that's partly, if you wrote a speech and it was your own thoughts, but yet used something to write it, chances are it took set and structure. And there is certain things that you would say that would always be the same. Although this is a really, really simplistic version, when I say, "Hi, my name is Beth Guide. I'm with Vertical Web," I say that every month. I have said that every month now since 2003. So that same thought is out there. Does it think that that necessarily is an AI generated phrase because it appears repetitively? Says everybody, that's not a real life example, but it would be if I every time I come here, I say don't use Wix, Weebly, Squarespace. So that's another thing that's, although it's unique to me, it's in the AI, out in the AI generating systems now, and they kind of know it. And so I'm recommending, but it doesn't always get attributed to me. All right, let's see if I can do this here. Let's see if it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. So this page now, I have a tool on here that uses my Google Analytics, and it tells me what's happened in the last 30 days. So this page has been seen 123 times. You notice it's gone down 60% because it's a little bit older of a page. So it's been demoted now for that happening. And there's only been a total of 4 sessions on it. So, but I can see that I did a good enough job on this page that for a while it had impressions, it had engagement, it had views, and now it's sort of aging out of the system. So when I put a new one up, that one will come in and that one will have um, that level of engagement. This is my favorite page I ever wrote with AI. Just want to say that up front. And I always, when I do these, I like to check this. So you see now this one's come down a little bit. But this one has had users on it. It's got activity on it. It has sessions on it because what it does is it gives a whole bunch of information on how to hire a web design company. Because I kind of was getting tired of people saying, hey, we're going to hire a web design company. We're not going to hire you. We're going to go with somebody cheaper. And then they come back to me and say, look, they broke my stuff. So, this is so I actually put up a whole page for consumers on how to go through and actually hire somebody. So, but in doing that, this page is starting to become an authoritative page. People are using it, people are interacting on it. It says, must one do to keep a website relevant? Post good quality content to it as much as you possibly can. You always need to be adding things to your website. It cannot be stationary. Otherwise, it's just a brochure. And if it's just a brochure, then I wouldn't expect anything from it. But if you expect your website to get you leads, then you need to be adding to it. And I mean, I have gone through and I had to redo. If any of you's been around for a while, I redid the homepage. I relayed out the homepage. I had to go make a whole bunch of different changes to it for it to be more modern so people understood what they were looking at. Um, I went through and did a whole bunch of changes to it. And then we've been a little busy to be honest with you, and it's been a crazy summer, so I need to buckle down and get to it. But I should be adding to the blog on a regular basis. I haven't done that as much as I want to. We're always adding our classes. We're always trying to add things to it. So this website continues to grow and get bigger and do its thing. The other thing, while I'm mentioning this, and I see your question there on how often should we do something. Let me see if I can get in here. All right, so the other thing I do is I have my Webmaster Tools hooked up, and this is like our best friend in the whole world. So the question says, how often should we post? I would say I would be happy if you would post every single day. That would make me very, very happy. I can't even begin to say differently. And you can see, it looks like I'm way down on traffic. I'm really not. There's some things we've been working on here that created an influx of traffic, and this is a little bit back to normal impressions now. Um, but it goes through, it'll tell me what my most popular pages are, what is being used, what's not being used. Uh, so I know I am always amazed that this page is always as well trafficked as it is because Microsoft stopped making front page back in 2003. And still, it is everybody's kind of go to that people are still asking what happened to it, where is it, and what did they replace it with? So it's kind of a funny little thing. So what it gives you is some of the trends, some of the things people are looking for, some of the words. I think this is important when I look at this, so I understand what I'm looking at. So what it gives me is the previous, it gives me the current, it gives me a lot of information. And when I come to performance all by itself, let me just go to performance and clear out the filters. Is that everybody? Yes. I like to take this and see what people are looking for and what we're winning on and what we're not. So SEO near me, I need to go see why I appeared 2,700 times on it and then go fix it. I need to go look at local SEO company. I had 2,100 times. I actually had somebody click through on it. I need to look at all of these to make sure we're meeting the bars on each and every one of these. And what are we doing and how are we doing it? And if you guys are not checking on your webmaster tools on a regular basis, you're kind of missing the boat on some things because it gives you a whole heck of a lot of information about what you should be doing. So what I know and what you should know after hanging around me for a while, some of you have been hanging around me for years, is that I look at these, I see how many impressions I have, how many times has somebody looked how many times has something come up? How many times is we're involved, and then I go and see what I have to do to go push it forward. Okay. So, and I can use AI to do this, but I'll show you where AI dovetails back into this in just a second. Okay. So let me just take, blah, 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 blah. Let's just take, Houston local SEO company. Let's just take that. Let's actually take that one, because that's a little bit more benign. Okay, so Sabia, your question is, does the browser traffic of your website get affected if the content is created with the help of AI, even if the content is relevant? Does the browsing traffic of your website get affected? They'll not list you if you don't do it well. I think the thing is, you can use AI, but you have to do it well. And if you don't do it well, you'll never get the traffic. So therefore, it's not gonna happen. You're never gonna have relevant content written by AI if there's nothing unique in it. And I think that's what we have to wrap our head around. I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, let me know. Okay. So I'm going to go and put local SEO experts in Google, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to see my answers. All right. And my answers are myself, also two other companies that are here in the Kingwood area. And you see mine is around the city. It's showing a whole big parts of the city. It's not just showing Kingwood, which is where I am. So I do these classes from my Kingwood office now. I've been doing it for a while. So you can see we're here for local SEO. It's our local SEO page that ranks, and we have rankings. But you see what I see two things on this when I look at this. I'm winning here. And if I look at the website, I think it's going to go to the homepage, and it does. And I'm winning here, but I need to go beat these two people out. And this right here is a service that you could buy, not something that provides information. And it's a paid for page. So it's scraping the internet. It's coming up with the internet. It's saying what we have, where it comes from, what it's doing. And for some reason, it's giving me a 4.6 versus, a better score. Fill out. I'm amazed you have power, Whitney, because we haven't had power here all day. It's been a crazy day. Almost went home a couple times. My house has power all the time because I got one of those generator things. But the office was out. Yeah, it was on and off all day for a while. Okay, so you can see I'm on the list. We're part of the discussion. And I, for some reason they're giving me, but I don't like being part of this, because I'm here to say, I don't think there's any other SEO company in Houston that is like us. So to lump us in with a bunch of people, it doesn't make me too happy. So what I need to do is I need to put together a plan to come and beat out this SEM rush page, as well as this ERW digital, which is a little bit larger of a company. So I need to sit down, and what I need to do is build more local SEO pages so that my local SEO page comes up over the top of the others, and it looks like at us as if we're the expert. So that becomes one of the goals. The only way I would know to do that is I went back over here. So now, how many local SEO pages? And this is another part of how I would use AI. I come back, and I'm going to come back to start a new chat, and I'm going to ask it, write me 10 suggestions that are not on. I'm going to say it this way. Write me 10 suggestions for blog content. And the trick to this is in the prompt, okay? How well you write this prompt is how good of an answer you get. All right, so write me 10 suggestions for blog and evergreen content about local SEO experts in Houston. The content will appear on Vertical Web. So please make sure it does not cannibalize existing content. So if you do what I've been telling you to do all the way along, I have hundreds of articles on Vertical Web. I have hundreds of pages on Vertical Web. So what I need it to do is not give me suggestions for things that I already have. So basically what I asked it to do is look at the Vertical Web website and make it suggestions based on things that I don't have. You also notice that I localized it because this is a local query, meaning a map appears. And because a map appears, then I need to tell it in Houston, in Katy, in the Heights, in Sugarland. I need to localize it to match what I'm doing. So what it's going to do now is it's going to give me 10 topics that I can go put on that website to help support that page to lift me up to the top of the search engine pieces. Now, this is where this gets a little tricky because let me see where my original one is. I'm going to change this query. I changed it to say who is the best. And if you look at who is the best in the Houston area, it now gave me an AI box. Okay. And if you notice now, I've got people in there. I've never heard of one of these people. Okay. I have heard of Thrive. I've heard of TopSpite, and we saw ER Digital already there. Okay. So it is making recommendations. And we see what's happening now is people are coming here, they're putting that type of query in, and they're assuming that that is curated information that Google has given you the best possible people. So they've saved you the time needed to go and figure out who you need to go hire because they gave you 4 people to go look at and go hire. The fact of the matter is they really didn't curate this. These people have done their websites in a manner that produces the best answer. If I change this, I don't know what the answer is going to be, but let's see. Okay. Oh, well, the right answer came up. So if I'm in the Kingwood area, it's going to grab me because I'm the most visible here in Kingwood. All right. So you see, this is where you guys need to work towards getting into this area here so that the assumption is that you are the expert. You are the person that Google's recommending, whether they're recommending you or not. And Joe said, is ChatGPT the new search engine? I'm going to say it's going to give Google a run for its money. I think people are doing either one of two things. They're going to do what I just did, which is ask the question in Google and Gemini is going to provide the answer, or they're going to go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT. I'm going to go ask ChatGPT that same exact question and let's see. Yeah, Google uses Gemini. Yes, that's correct. Okay, that is. Let's come back. And I'm always starting a new chat when I do this because you never want it to, remember I told you it's conversational, right? So if you don't use a new chat, it's going to base it on the information above it. And if you want to, yes, Craig, and we're not talking about Copilot tonight. I'm really am talking about this from a marketing standpoint. And I'd like to kind of keep it there. Because I really want to focus on how to make the best of this from a marketing standpoint, and I don't want to confuse the issue with everybody. Okay, so you'll see again, I'm able to come up and it gives me suggestions yet again. Our goal is to get into these suggestions. How I'm doing that is good quality content with or without the AI part. If I've written it, if I've put it together and I put it in a way that adds to the conversation, that's the piece I need you to walk away with, is that you have to add something new to the conversation. Okay. So like They know, like this says, they gave us credit because we were established in 1998. They're they came and said 2025 service area updates, calling out Kingwood home services. We're getting, and the reason why is I made changes to that page to be able to get that ranking put there. So these are not unadulterated. These are based on what you say. I went in, put it in there, put the words in there, put it in and assembled it on the page so that when the chat programs come, curate it and pull it back, it's making those recommendations. Okay. So that is should be our marketing goal, is to be able to get our content primed enough that it comes in and it matches these items. Okay. So that's why this is kind of important, because anybody in here is going to get the phone call. Anybody not in here is not going to get the phone call. All right. So you see, I asked it to make suggestions for me, and it went through my website. It's coming up with, and it came up with the angles, the titles, what the keywords should be. Like this one says, competitive teardown for HVAC and plumbing, showing that content hubs and review proximity and so on and so forth. And that's a very convoluted way to say it wants me to show that I'm an expert on HVAC and plumbing, and that those are two of the things that benefit most from local SEO. If I look at this one here, it says map ranking factors and queries across Kingwood, Katy, the Woodlands, Cypress, show to be an expert on tailoring pages in Google My Business for the micro markets. And what it's doing is it's telling me why it won't go against the page I already have, because it's going up against that local SEO services page. So it's looking at what services I'm offering. So by putting my own website in, I'm making it unique just by simply asking it to put my own website in. Okay, so understand that's another way to make it unique. But I will say, if your own website is just a reconstitution constantly of what's out there, it's going to be hard pressed for it to not make a mistake and do it. This one's interesting because we are a bilingual company. And we have a lot of customers that are Spanish only speakers, and I don't know that I realized that, but we do have we have gone down and we have a bilingual company now. So you can see what it says is Spanish first local SEO, winning the bilingual without duplicate content traps. That is something that I could talk on and build an article on pretty easily. We've done it for a long time, and we've done it in multiple languages. So that I actually like that as to explain, like personal injury attorneys, speeding traffic ticket attorneys. They all needed past tense. They all have it now. Spanish versions of those pages. And what's unique about Houston, so this is something to think about, okay? What's unique about Houston is if I do a page in German, it does not return that result in the United States forthright, because it doesn't think there's enough German speaking population to support it. So it's assuming that you're putting that page up for Germany. On the other side of the coin, in Houston, because we have such a large Hispanic and Spanish speaking population, those pages are returned by Google directly. Okay. So as a result, it works fantastic because it doesn't say you have to go to Google Mexico to get the Spanish answers. It's actually using google.com. So each language in each country has its own extension. So if it sees German, it sends you to, google.de kind of a thing. All right. That's just a very broad way to say that. But in the Spanish, especially here in Houston, it'll show it as part of the regular google.com. This said, should I have a Spanish version of my website or another website for Spanish? The answer is yes and no, no and yes. What I would do, and I haven't done it on my own site, but we have done it on other customer sites because we have bilingual staff and they're able to help us with it. And honestly, I didn't hire them because I thought I was going to go do everything in Spanish, but it's worked out great. Okay, so you see this website's in English. If I click on this little button up here, everything turns to Spanish. It's all in the same website. Okay. If you look up here, see it says Easy Turf the Woodlands /ES. So the whole website goes to Spanish. And what I did is I had Monica go in and translate the entire website into Spanish and build a secondary copy that lives in a Spanish directory. And if you notice, we use this ES extension because that's the international notation for Spanish. So we let Google know that this is a Spanish version of the website. All right. We didn't do that in English. The English version lives in the English version, but on any of these pages, when you do it, it automatically flips it over right into Spanish and it translates it. So I would say if you have a large Hispanic population that needs your services, these folks do because they deal with a lot of contractors. I probably could do it myself now because what I didn't realize is that we have a large, and not to, I guess I never thought about it, but we have a large Hispanic population that they need websites, and we have them. We've got contractors, we've got home service companies, we have restaurants, we have a whole lot more than what I would have thought. So, all right, this question is a little bit more pointed. If you want to do an oil gas company in Mexico, then you need domain.com or domain.mx for Mexico, so that you then say this is for Mexico for the country, not I'm accommodating Spanish speaking people in the United States. Those are two different functions. Now, if I go to Europe, I put in a search term, I get automatically, if I'm in France, I automatically get to sent to Google FR, which is the French. If I'm in Germany, I automatically get sent to Google DE. It's an automatic thing that happens because they understand that you're in the confines of those countries and that you're going to want that. You can switch the browser back to English. That's no problem. And what we've noticed is that a lot of the people, English has sort of become the universal language. So people will go in Germany, come through Google Germany, and switch the website back into English out of the native language. So that's been an interesting thing. I don't want to get into a multi-language discussion here, but I want you to understand that, this is a whole nother aspect of this that can be used. Okay. And we've done both of them. So you need to look at it that way from that perspective. Okay, so let's come back to our little thingy over here. Do you get engagement from Spanish speakers by having a Spanish version of the website? Yes. The answer is yes. Yes, we get people. I don't know that and I don't even know that I understand how it happened, but we have, and I don't know if it was before what we were saying was we don't speak Spanish. So therefore people were going, thank you, and going on about, and now we speak Spanish. So we give them to the Spanish speaking person on our staff and then they become customers. I'm not really quite sure how that's working. I don't know what changed, but I do know that we have been able to procure. It's actually opened up a whole nother market. So this one here, that suggestion, I need to take that to heart and put up some Spanish speaking pages. All right. Chambers, BBBs, and local link authorities. Now, anybody that knows me knows that's another good topic. I speak for chambers of commerces. I work with chambers of commerces, and you see the entrepreneur program is here and the things that we've done. So you want to see this says it builds on my chamber helps local SEO theme. So it's telling me to go a step beyond. But when I put these pages up and take these answers and say, hey, build this for me, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have a solid page that I can put on my website. It's sort of using my own, because of the way it dumped this answer, it's going to go back and look at that chamber page. And because it looks at that chamber page, it's going to build a much more comprehensive page. So we're going to take number 5 and we're going to say, write a 1,500 word blog post based on the chamber helps the SEO page on vertical web and modernize topic, explain citation. See, I'm telling it what I want in the page and add HCC and score. Entrepreneur, ENTREPREN. You know, it's a word I never get to spell right. Citations. Okay. So I just told it what I wanted in that page. So I told it what I wanted in there, and I want to see what it comes up with. We'll look at the page here in a second when it does it. But this is how I'm utilizing the data. I'm using it for blog posts. I'm using it. What I'm gonna do also, and I just so you know I do this, I take this same prompt and I come over here and I put it in Claude. All right. And the reason I do that is because Claude writes a different page. And because it's going to write a different page, um, I actually take the two of them sometimes and blend them together. I read down them, I make sure I agree with what they say, and then I say, okay, take these two, put them together, and come up with an answer for me of what it should look like. All right. So you see it's already taken my entrepreneur theme and put it up in the top. It's already started to explain some of these things. By the way, we're not Houston Community College anymore. We're Houston City College. So that needs to be changed because HCC is no longer Houston Community College as of, I guess, the beginning of the school year or something. It just happened recently. So with that said, it's going to write me a much different page than ChatGPT will write. Okay. Um, you can see that they're more bulleted lists over on ChatGPT. Claude is more of a prose and more friendly, although there seems to be some lists inside of it. All right. But I'm going to tell it what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them two things. I'm going to take these two and tell it to put them together and make one comprehensive article and say it's okay to expand it out to 2,000 words if you need to. Because what I did is I'm taking two ends of it and I put something in there on the front side that said, hey, help this, because I said, I want you to talk about citations. I want you to talk about certain things. And because I gave that to it, it gives me a much look at the answer it gave me. It gave me a pretty comprehensive answer. It's talking about chamber members, zero-click searches, implementation of citations. Um, I have to read through it to see how valid it is. But look at and see where it says bottom line. We're editing that out because the thing is, nobody says bottom line, in summary, in conclusion. I'm now stopping talking. It doesn't, you don't say that. It says it right here, and that's that. Um, so I now have this, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to come back to ChatGPT. I don't like that ChatGPT has made this so when I'm going to use the word listicle, okay? I don't like that about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say take also going to say, make it sound like me. So there, I pasted it. And now it's going to combine those two pages for me. So it's going to take the data, it's going to chomp it, it's going to rewrite it, and it's going to, oh, I did forgot to add the 2000 limit. Let's see what it comes out with. And then we'll come back and see what it does. And see how much it more. I didn't put in, actually, Craig, I didn't put any word count on this thing. I just said take it and fix it. So I didn't put it in. So let's see what it actually comes up with on its own. So see how it's writing it in a little bit better format now. So it looks a little bit better, and it doesn't just look like a list of bullet points over and over and over again, because I think that's a problem. I think that's not what people are expecting. So when this is all done, I want to show you what the next thing you could do with this is. Okay. Does it like you because of the ChatGPT? So many queries. Does it like you? Well, it likes me because everybody likes me. What are you kidding? No, I actually said to write like me, or to do it like me, because it knows how I'm putting in so much because it's my actual speaking, so it outputs me because it understands and what I do and how I write. I've also given it my own uh stuff to upload. Yeah, it's in my tone. And then the other thing I've done is gone back and taken old blog posts and said, here, rewrite this, use this as to learn who I am. So because in all reality, I'm a good writer. I was a journalist. I worked for newspapers back in New York and New Jersey back in college. So I have a very well polished writing career that I walked away from to come down here. Um, I have the blessing, if you will, that I can go in, pull that old information, put it up here, and utilize it to train these systems. So I've done that. It says trying to figure out how to implement if you just started using. Go take stuff and that you've written and upload it and say, this is how I write. Please utilize this in the future. And that's how I did it. I mean, I started, over and over and over again how to do this. So I now have a really nice article or blog post. And now what I'm going to ask it to do is, if it's all done, oops, I didn't mean to do that. See if it's all done. Okay, it's all done. Please take this information and format it. So now what I'm going to do is save myself time on finding pictures, because I'm going to tell it to illustrate it with photos and illustrations that match the content. So now it's going to go ahead and it's going to write that for me. And if you watch, you don't have to look, it's not going to dump it out into code. I'm going to be able to preview it at some point. But you see what it's doing now is it's making me a layout of all of this. So even if I don't know how to put it all together, now it's going to put it together for me. So while it does that, it does take it a minute to do this. If you're using WordPress, you can tell it to export it in WordPress document that you can import into your editor as well. You can't do it into Wix. Another reason not to use Wix, but we all know don't use Wix anyway in the first place. So, but with that said, it's going to go out. And I probably should have told it to put a call of action in the page to hire us. I didn't do that. So what I may do is, once it's done, if I was going to actually use this, I may go back and tell it to utilize, put some call to actions throughout the page. So it's building the pages for me. I think it's even going to give me the images of what I should be using. Let me see if it does what it does. I usually can preview this. Why didn't you give me a preview link? You use these prompts to create visuals. Okay. So what it wants me to do is image of a chamber ribbon cutting. It's actually given me the images that it's gonna watch. It's gonna now go get me generate an image of a chamber ribbon cutting. So you see how I'm kind of utilizing to do that? Oh, it didn't like that. So what else I know is I have my Canva account plugged into this. And I can say, all right. The other thing you can do, if you notice, I told it I wanted Instagram on Canva. It's going to, let's see. Let's just let me know and I'll get it. It's celebrating highlight the Chamber of Commerce. See, it's asked me some questions because it did know what direction to go in. So I'm going to say highlight chamber role. You guys should be really impressed at this, by the way, because you can literally tell it to do all these things for you now. All right, let's see. Let's confirm it. I don't know what I just confirmed, but I just confirmed something. I think I told it okay to use the ChatGPT plugin for Canva. I think. We'll see. So I go through and I do all of this. I've done all of this. I'm creating all my pages with this. I can do all of these things. So the next thing I'm going to tell you can do is if you run an AdWords campaign, what I did was I went through. So here is 4 Instagram posts for me. It made us 4 Instagram posts. Let's see, where did it make them? There it is. And here you go. I now have 4 Instagram posts that I can use and do something with if I want. Okay. I have graphics. It's made it for me. I can do any of these things just to get the pictures and get this out for me. ChatGPT struggles to output pictures or illustrations like a PDF for me. That's where Claude comes in because I think Claude does that better. Like I can tell Claude. So I'm going to tell it to make that article that I just wrote on citations into a PowerPoint presentation. And then once I have the PowerPoint presentation, I'll see what it does. And if I like it, I can output it to a PDF. I just have to print to a PDF format. So I did it this way. Claude does a much better job on some of that kind of stuff. It can be a little bit more creative at times than ChatGPT can be. We told ChatGPT to render a picture of a yacht club with a chair, and it put up a 3-legged chair. So, but you see what it's doing. It's looking for whatchamacallit. And I have a Mac, so I don't know I don't know whether because it can't do what it's trying to do here. But we'll see. Anyway, so you can see it's going to do that for me. There's multiple different ways. Can chat be? It probably can be. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but I just don't think a PDF is, without creating something to make it a PDF is what my concern is. My concern is that I'm not being given something to put it in this way. So that's why I'm saying create, use it to make the PDF as opposed to use the PowerPoint to make it the graphic so then it can be put out into and making it into image. It can create it with, it can make the images, it can do all of these things for you. So this is where I'm saying from a marketing standpoint. So let me show you some of the brilliance here on this that I was appreciative the other day. So I talked to one of our business owners and he wanted to make a landing page. He wants to make an ad for his company that caters to seniors. I'm going to tell it allow all. Okay, so I gave it a bunch of information. I gave it information at first. It says I want a landing page for Italian vacation website that sells group travel for retirees. The target is retired people who are looking to do things in groups and a group vacation up to 20 people. So it gave me a suggestion, and when it gave it to me, I didn't like it. So I went back in, and remember I told you it's all in the prompt, right? So I went back into the prompt. It says I want to make a landing page for a vacation website that sells group travel for retirees that know each other, because the first thing it gave me didn't have it said for strangers that know each other and are part of the same retirement community. The target is retired people who are looking to do group travel and group vacations under 20 people from the same community church, country club, or senior center. This will be a Google AdWords landing page. So I gave it all the background. So this is the page it came up with for me. I want you to laugh a second. It's in Italy. Apparently, the Eiffel Tower has been relocated in the witness reproduction or relocation program to Italy. I don't know. Either that or the Eiffel Tower was originally Italian and they moved it to France. I'm not sure which happened. Okay. But this is why you can't trust it on its own, because that should be a picture of Tuscany and not a picture of the Eiffel Tower. It just got tower, leaning tower, Eiffel Tower. They all towers. I don't know why it did that, but it did it. Okay. So that was the first thing. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bath. Private Italy trips for your community, up to 20 people. Bring your friends from the same church, community, country club, and senior. We design leisurely accessible Italian invitations for your group, custom dates, one simple price, and dedicated tour management. Okay. So it basically took what we do and it came up with that headline for it. It says, now it's going to give me steps that we can do. Tell us about your group, share where you're from, what you prefer to do. We design your trip. It's easy to sign up. It's perfect for retirement 55 communities, church and faith groups, country clubs, group perks. And then it gives me transparent pricing and it gives some, information on that. And then it tells you 8 to 12 days. And here's the interesting piece of this, right? So it took Florence, Venice, and Rome, which is common to do. The other thing it did, which I don't see it on this one. Oh, somewhere in here, it put a thing in here saying that it needed to, it was asking about whether you wanted to go on religious tours. Because I put church groups in, it actually came up with, and nobody uses leisurely except people in leisure suits. So some of that language is gonna have to get cleaned up, of course, but what my point is, you can see the other thing is when you ask it to do this, it gives social proof. And what I will tell you is every one of you should be putting reviews and working towards getting reviews for your website. If you're not getting reviews, you got a problem, because social proof in pages is almost a requirement across the board. And it's not good enough to say, oh, I like this, or oh, this person likes me, or like this. We don't know whether Pastor Jim at the First United Methodist Church Travel Club is real, but I would have to wonder why the First United Methodist Church has a travel club. That would right there, I would have to throw down on that one right out of the box. All right. You know what, Eldoffice, you're gonna have to come and get this yourself from Vertical Web. I honestly, literally, we volunteer our time, and I don't have the time to be sending individual emails out. So you can go to Vertical Web as soon as we have it. Usually, it's up by next week, and we'll be able to get that for you'll be able to go to the website and go find it. It'll be right in the blog section with the rest of them, and that should help you. But I will never remember to do that in a million years. So I don't want to disappoint you. Anyway, so back to what I was saying here. Marisol G, the activity director of what? I don't know what she's the activity director of, but we filled 18 spots from our 55 community. So I don't like um, genuine social proof. I would rather everybody pull it out of um, the review section. I'd rather everybody go get it off their Google reviews. So if I go to my Google reviews, let's see, I may only be able to pull the Kingwood ones because I'm in Kingwood right now. Let me see. So it's giving a summary of what those are. And then why is it not giving the Google? Usually it gives Google's thing here, and it gives me the what do you call it? The knowledge graph panel. So let me just do it this way: VRTICALWD. And if you notice here, we've got these are the Kingwood reviews because I have two offices. They're what am I trying to say? They each have their own set of reviews because if people come from West Houston, they go to the West Houston version. If they go to Kingwood, they come to the Kingwood version. Um, so that's I'm gonna say that everybody should be working on their reviews because you want to pull the reviews through in real time. And I think I did that here, VRTIC. And I think it's very important to do that because people call BS on some of these, so you wanna have it, and you can see I have real people scrolling through here. And the interesting piece is if you notice there's 42 reviews because it put together Houston and Kingwood. So I have everybody. So we've got 42 reviews. It's just split over two locations. And if anybody feels as a customer feels like they want to leave a review, we would appreciate it because we really like to have reviews. We all need them. So there's that story of what we do. So there on that. So far we've talked about building the blog post. We've talked about building a YouTube write-up. We've talked about how to utilize it to lay out a page, also to make suggestions for a AdWords campaign. So here's the next thing I've been using it to do and it makes my life easy because if I have to sit here and think about it all on my own, after a while, your brain starts to hurt a little bit. So I admit that. And the older I get, my brain hurts a little bit more over time anyway. Yeah, no, I don't curate them. Do you curate reviews over time, like only used last year? No, I have a 28-year-old business. I have reviews that go back 28 years. In fact, some of the people that left reviews are dead now. Some of them died in COVID. It's kind of horrible, but I'm actually glad that I have the reviews that I do and that they go back as far as they do. I'm pretty happy about that. But anyway, so that's where I am on the reviews piece. Where was I going? Blogs, utilize social media posts. I forget where I'm going. I forgot where I was going. I got distracted on the reviews over time question. Then the social media can be used to make social media posts too. So that's now that you saw me do it with Claude. Oh, I know where I was going. So a few months ago, I got a new client that was worth me looking at how to expand my business offerings. And I thought long and hard about how I wanted to do this. And I decided that I wanted to do this out on its own because of the way and who's impacted by it. I felt like it was better to put it out in its own ecosystem and not try to glom it into business. That although these two things are the same, they were the demographic group was different enough that it made sense to put up its own website. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to write a website that you've already written about something that you've been doing 28 years to try to put a new spin on it and not say the same thing that the first website says. But it really was kind of hard. Now, I'll tell you a funny little side story. When I was in college, the very first writing job I had was I said it was the best job I ever had because did I do it here or did I do it? I thought I did it here. The best thing I ever did was write obituaries because you had to say the same thing over and over again, which is Granny died at home with her loved ones around her. So I don't know how many different ways you could say that, but we sure came up with a lot of different ways to say that. Let me see. Is this what I did? No, this is a transcript. Hang on. What I did was dentist, web design. Yeah, I wish for ChatGPT then, but it made me be able to very good at changing around words to make them. So I actually am very good at moving stuff around to make it work for the way I want it to work. I'm trying to think. I really need to, if it's in here, I know it's in here somewhere. Let me try to search it. Let me see. All right, so this one is for a judge. That one, I don't want to do that. Hold on a minute. I'm trying to find it because what I did is I built the whole website with ChatGPT, start to finish. And I want to point out a few things about it, which is why I'm telling you this is something for most of you to try to consider to do. As we talk about trying to doing it on your own, I'd rather you do something like this because you're more apt to get good sales copy out of it than you are to do it. So I've been telling you all night, you can appear here, you can do this, you can do that. And I'm very good at making stuff appear in the AI results. So what ended up happening is somebody called me and asked me some questions and I was like, "Well, I can go fix that for you." And they hired me, okay? So I ended up dumping up an entire website on messaging, positioning, and crisis management and stuff like that. That is using Google to stop problems before they happen. But I didn't even know when I started, I didn't even know what it was called. So I had to put in, what do you do? What do you call it when you correct wrong information online for a political candidate? Well, it gave me some things to think about. So then I had to come back and ask it, what do you call it when you fix false narratives? So it gave me another set of information. Okay. What do you call this? What do you call this type of service for SEO? And it gave me even more suggestions, right? So remember, I told you this is a building thing. So I'm asking it questions on what to do. So, what are the right keywords for this type of service? So it created 4 buckets for it, and it came up with the keywords for it. So then what I told it to do is it said, do you want me to build a landing page, a strategy, a blog post, anything based on the theme? I actually told it I wanted it to build the whole website for me. So what it did is I told it to build the homepage for me. So it came in and it said, we did this, we do this. I dumped it all out bit by bit by bit by bit. And what I want to really call to your attention is this processed it in a way different than I would have thought of it, which I appreciate that. What it says is voters Google before they believe you. I think that's probably the most powerful statement on this entire website as to why anybody Googles you before they believe what you say. So you guys can all come here, listen to me for 2 hours. Chances are you all are going to go home and somebody somewhere is going to go Google me to see if I actually really know what I'm talking about. And what ends up happening, that's actually, it's almost usually our second most search term is my name. Okay. So it gave me talking points for things that I would not have I would have never thought of that line in a million years on my own. Okay. So I came up. So then I said, once I had all the points, I said, okay, now I want you to build this into a structure for a web page for me. So it gave me what that should be, what I should say, where I should say it, how I should say it, and this is what it came out looking like. So you have this here. I actually took some of it and rewrote it just because I didn't like what it was saying. Um, but if you come here, you see everything we just did. I'm going to show you a little bit. All these pieces, I actually had to say, okay, write me a description of what online narrative correction would be. Write me a description of what AI cleanup and alignment would be. I told it to give me each of these. Instead of letting me define my business the way I see it, and I'll tell you a side story on that and why I think this is as powerful as it is. Um, I went in and I followed this all the way along. Came down. I took all the people who we help, what we do, who we are, what we're a part of, and put everything in the way. Now, what's interesting is I won't be able to do any type of social proof on this because I don't think the people that are utilizing the service want to be out publicly knowing that anybody manipulated anything. I'm actually looking at it as I'm fixing it. I'm not changing something that's right to wrong. I'm changing something that's wrong to right. So, anyway, then the next thing I did is I came back here and I told it to give me all the sections, everything it said. And then I said, give me a layout for what it should look like. So it gave me a layout of how I should do it. So if I drew a blank on what I should put, here it gave me the suggestion of what it should look like. I was like, okay, now create me the file for Elementor so I can import it, which I did, and it told me how to do it. It gave me the everything I need, and I went ahead and I did that, and I created the template for it. You notice that my page doesn't look like this page. Um, it's because I looked at it and said, okay, I don't like this as much. Then what I did is I told it to create the mock-up and the images. So it created all the images for me. And I took those images and bought them into Canva and changed them to purple because it matched the theme of the website. So that's where I knew enough to do that and make that change. So we've got that. I went through and I had it write it literally wrote the whole website for me. Then I told it I needed it, write me 1,000-word blog post on the services we offer our clients, why it's important to use SEO keywords. That we have all kinds of candidates, and it went through and it made a whole blog post for me. The other page it wrote for me was the services page. I went one by one and told it, write me a page about what this would be on each one of these. So it wrote a really good, solid version of each. I don't care about this site in the sense that it's not going to necessarily hurt me if Google ever blacklisted it or any of that, simply because I put it up to go after marketing. This is more of a word of mouth type of business. So if Google never ranks this, so be it. I'm okay with that. Oddly enough, I still have the window open. Oddly enough, I think I think this is where it is. Maybe it's just under my own name. Hold on a minute. There it is. Okay. This website's been up for maybe since the middle of August. And it's already got traffic. It's already got insights. It already has performance. It already has impressions. It already is showing up on things like political SEO because with my skill set and everything that I know and the way I structured that content and the way I put it together, I ended up with a website that's kind of got some terms already on it without pushing it any bigger further than what I need to do. And oddly enough, even the I did a piece on the Texas constitutional amendments that are up on the ballot, even that's here. So if you look, I'm getting traffic on a website that literally is brand new. That really, it's got no links, it's got no power, it's really got not much of anything. But wouldn't you know, I actually have traffic on it. But it's because of how I structured it and what I know in my head about how this should be. So you can literally tell it to write your whole, if you don't know how to do it, you can tell it to write your whole website for you. So we have used it to do social media ads. We have used it to do Google ads. We have used it to do, to make the website. We have used it to write a blog page. We have used it to give us ideas for content ideas. And the other thing I will say to you, which is I pulled this up originally because I want to go through this. I think I want to use. Let me see if it'll let me pull this. I'm going to just pull this. This is an AI generated page. I can check that this any page I want and evaluate the web page for how correct it is and whether it matches what I need it to match. So I have a system that says evaluate the following page for SEO, content experience, and call to action. I made a thingy for it, and I'm going to paste that text in. And I pasted it in here, and what it should do is go through and give me a evaluation of what that page looks like. All right, it says, so did you search for topics and write blogs about popular topics, or topics you wrote came up on the search engines? No, I told it to go. So I know my business. I actually know my customers' businesses too, but I know my business well enough to say I know what it needs. So I go there and I tell it, go ahead and give me blog content and topic ideas, and then I work with the chat program to massage that content. So I tell it, write it for me, include these bullet points, include this. It may not think to include it on its own. So if you saw the one I did for the Chamber of Commerce, I told it to include citations. And I told it to include citations on purpose because I felt like citations was something that would be unique and it wouldn't be in that article. So I'm asking it and giving it suggestions of what I want included, um, all on its own. So I'm actually asking it to do it for me. So I told it to go in, I asked it to give me that information that it said. It says, okay, I reviewed the article. This is a significantly improved article. The addition of the leaked Google documents and the supposed use of is a source to make it more compelling. So it says strong. The content is more compelling and informational. It's covering the essential Googles and SEO. And then it says added visual. The use of bulleted points and headers make the article more appealing. Lacks visuals, which we know it lacks visuals because it's not on a page, and it lacks my authority. It doesn't say who I am to make this important. Okay. And that's a big deal right now because one thing I'm going to say is I think the entire world is having trouble trying to figure out what's real and what's not at this point. You see a post go by on social media, you don't know if it's real, you don't know if it's fake. I told somebody the other day, I said, according to Facebook, the Gilmore Girls are going to have 2 more seasons. Everybody's excited, except it was a fake post. But the people that were there didn't realize it wasn't a real post. But you have to go out and you have to actually go figure out if, and it's going to, I agree with you that it's going to get worse. The other thing that I've come to the conclusion that's happening is that we all live in siloed uh, environments because our social media feeds reflect what our thought process is. So you never get the other side of it. You never really hear what somebody is going to say because at the end of the day, what ends up happening is it only the algorithms are mimicking what you're saying. So the fact of the matter is that if the need for authority is clear. When I speak, these are my opinions, but I'm pretty good after 28 years that my opinion's right. I don't mean that badly to anybody. I don't mean that like I'm trying to say I'm better than anybody. It's just I have so much in my information in my head that when I speak, there's no doubt about it. So this said, I never heard you say that before. Yeah, okay. So, by the way, everybody, I've know Craig's. He's not just some guy that walked and drove across the internet and showed up here. He knows exactly what he's saying. So, yeah, you're right. You never heard me say any of this before. But you guys should all have that same level of confidence about you. You all should say you're the best. Look, I have a person in my life that likes to tell me that I am not humble. And when it comes to SEO, I'm not humble. I'm one of the best in the country at it. Okay. If you want to talk about other things in my life that I do and the businesses that I've helped, I'm very humble about that. I'm very proud of the efforts that I've made to help small businesses here in Houston. And I do that because I care about you guys. I wish, why not? Um, I wish that I had a me back when I started my business because I think I would have been further down the road than what I am. I have made it in sheer tenacity in an industry that when I started, there wasn't even women in it. They're like, oh, we're picking the guys. They must know more. I don't know why. I don't know if they thought they were better at video games than we were. I really am not sure what that was all about, but literally there was nothing based on it other than they were men and we were women. So as I look at all of this and I think about all of this, I'm very humble, except that when it comes to knowing SEO, and there's really very few people in this country that know more about this than I do. And I think I can count them on 10 fingers and maybe 10 toes. Maybe 10 toes. So I think everybody should have my attitude about their business. And if you did, you would go out and you would be able to produce a website that had clear authority. Google saying without the authority, they're worried about the validity of my page. And the thing is that in this day and age, you have to be worried about that. It is something you have to say, is this person actually know what they're talking about? Do they really understand what's happening? Or are they just saying they know something and how do you determine whether somebody really knows it or not? Unless you speak with a level of authority. Well, Google's looking for that authority in your website. If you're a lawyer, you better be saying, I went to law school. This is the law school I went to. I've been practicing law for X, Y, and Z. Your reviews help give you authority. And in fact, I think, and this is a big I think, so I don't know if this is going to happen because some days it happens and some days it doesn't. Nope. Hold on. I have my own Google write up now. Google actually knows who I am to the point that they put my picture above things. That's what you guys should strive to be. to have your own write-up about who I am and what I am. And because they know I'm an authority, but I had to go through and build this. I had to go through and go be things like that. How do we achieve? You can't do it through Wikipedia unless you want to run for office. Um, and don't think I haven't thought about running for office just to get a Wikipedia page, just saying. That would be something I would do, you know. Um, I did have one for a while because I had some flooding things come up here in Kingwood, and they did let me have a Wikipedia page, but eventually they took it down because I would love to be the mayor of Kingwood, except that would make me the mayor of Houston. Um, so, but with that said, so you asked how I did it. I did it really through uh, where I am, who I associate with. I partnered with originally with the SBDC. I'm now partnered with HCC. I've been at Chamber of Commerce's. I do public speaking whenever I can. I appear throughout the city whenever I can. I'm constantly out there. All right, well, I'm going to remember that because if I come back and you see my name on a ballot, you better vote for me. But that's the thing is that, you know, you just have to be confident in everything you do and be who you say. Like if you notice, I have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, I've got my photo website. Um, well, I'm in Houston too because Kingwood's part of Houston. I have multiple different things that linked up. You know, see, I'm out telling people that they need to go vote. Um, so I am out. There is no doubt. And oh, by the way, if you ever wanted to know, my little dog's a little rock star too, because he's everywhere and everybody knows Cooper, and he's like the grand marshal of the Fourth of July parade half the time. So, you know, this is the things that I do so people know that I'm out there and what I'm doing. And so Google knows when they see me, they can expect somebody that's a reputable person, and it's not and it's across multiple things. You see this here, we did some work for autism and folks with autism, and we ended up with our own YouTube video on it that came from a third party, and we also have a whole article in the Houston Chronicle about us and our work with autism. But you have to have that mindset to get out there and say, okay, how am I going to do this in a way that's helpful? And you know, I think the thing is when you start, yeah, I know, no, I'm not from Yellowstone, although I do think it's kind of funny. Um, I think that is kind of funny that it matched that one up. But with that said, I look out at all of this and I have put together a plan that has taken and made my personal brand somebody that everybody knows that I'm honest, that maybe I'm abrupt and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think to a fault, but they know they can trust me. They know that I'm coming at you from the best place that there is. And I work very hard to make sure that anybody that comes across my path is um you know is at least I try to get them going in the right direction. And I've done it now for 28 years, and you know it's when you do it like that. So if you're just starting out, get out there with a servant's heart. And I see this a lot. You know, the entrepreneur program here at HCC, it helps lift people up. It helps get them in the right position. It helps build a network where people know you. If you have the ability to go out and give back to your community, go out and give back to the community. That's partly why I work with the autism people. And when we first started the business, well, I shouldn't say first started. I guess it was back in 2006 and 7. People used to laugh at me because we would go to the local churches and we would go hire the people that got laid off of their jobs just so that they felt like they had worth. Um, so we went out and helped people, and we would give them jobs, and we let them write articles for us, and you know, and it gave them a reason to get up in the morning, you know, because some people get really depressed when they're laid off and they don't have a job. So you know, this is the thing. So if you go out with a servant's heart, you'll do a better job. It says, what do you like more, SEO or photography? Oh, that's a really good question. one is the thrill of the chase, but the other one is I love when I can get out and go. I just went to Paris and I've got oodles of pictures that need to go be put up. So I think there's a time and a place for everything. So anyway, okay, it's 7:59. Uh, we're gonna come up at the end of the year, so start looking for different times because although I know you all love me and want to see more of what I have to say, um, we have to move it because it's on Thanksgiving. And I think that most people are not going to come to SEO class on Thanksgiving. No matter how awesome I am, I'm up against football and turkey. So there's that. And then we have the
We
same problem with Christmas. So I think we end up backing it up a week. I haven't really decided what we're gonna do this year yet. I think we may do November, skip December and January, and come back in
uh
February.
Beth, last year we did December in the second week of December before going into the winter
Before we went into
holidays.
Christmas. Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna probably do that again, Sabia. So that's why I just want to let them know the next 2 months are gonna be a little bit different. So just make sure you watch the
right. And even for November, we can do a week before the Thanksgiving week if everyone's up for it. Like on the 19th, which is a Wednesday on November.
yeah, yeah. So we can
Yeah.
move November back. I don't want to do it on, go make turkey and apple pie day. Just
Yes, of
I mean,
course.
I think those are just that those are so I think we'll just move it back a week in both
Hmm.
months because one day is Christmas Eve and one day is like the day before Thanksgiving. So
That's right.
anyway, all right. So I will see you all next month. Uh, we'll get this up as soon as somebody gets me a copy of the video, and we should be good to go.
All right. I've just shared a link to our upcoming small business opportunities around HCC. So we just sent a newsletter out this evening. Y'all can just copy that link.
So, and with that, I think we are done. It's a wrap.
Thank you, everyone, for attending the session tonight. We will see you in November again.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Good night.
That's a wrap for this week's Internet Marketing Clinic. We'll see you next week. Thank you.